Hi, I'm John from WorkshopAddict.com. Lately I've been making bottle stoppers. Lots and lots of bottle stoppers. They're a lot of fun to do because they're quick and easy. You can start and finish in the same day, usually within an hour. And I have tons of friends that seem to want these, they like these, and that's part of the fun. Just recently I saw some on Facebook and I started making colored pencil bottle stoppers. Very unique look, a little more difficult to work with, and there's a few tips and tricks I found along the way to make this a little easier. So I'm going to show you how to do this step by step, what to watch out for, what to think about. Couple things you're going to need: pencils. You're going to need 37 colored pencils, and hexagon shaped pencils work the best. Stay away from the round ones if you can, a little more difficult to work with. And you're also going to need super glue or CA glue. I use 3 different consistencies. I use a thick, a medium, and a thin. So you'll find out I use the thin and the medium to finish the project. I use the thick to glue it all up together. And other than that, of course, you're going to need a lathe and your tools and some sandpaper. Other than that, it's your imagination and have fun with it. So let's see how to do this. Before we get started, there's a few things we need to talk about. There's different kinds of colored pencils. Most of them that I find out there are round, but we like to find the ones that are hexagon in shape. And the reason being is hexagon gives you a lot more surface area to glue up. Those round ones, you can still do it, but you're gonna have to use a lot more super glue or CA glue, and that's a mess, and it gets expensive. So if you find some hexagon ones, grab them. First thing I want to do is take the black ones, get rid of them. The black ones will cause you issues when you get into the sanding. It likes to streak across the bottle stopper, and it's really hard. You got to go through and do some hand sanding. So I get rid of all the black ones first because they're just terrible. Second, what we're going to do is we want our blank to look kind of like this, and it's close to round, so it's easy to work with. What I've done is I start with the first row of 7. That's the first row we're going to make, and then we'll build off of that. Then we'll row of 6, row of 5, and a row of 4. When we're done, flip it over and finish the top part. That'll give you your hexagon shape here, which is very easy to work with because there's minimal waste. So now what I suggest is we also start off with a thick CA glue, thick or a gel. Use that thin stuff and it just runs all over the place. Also, I'm using some wax paper on my table because, of course, CA glue just seems to get everywhere, and you're picking it off your fingertips and everything for about a week. You can use a gel in this one also, but I'm going to use a thick. I suggest using gloves also because that CA glue gets everywhere, and it's a lot cleaner if you take care of it with gloves. So, first thing we're going to do is start gluing. First thing I do is you take your first piece and we're just going to run a bead of glue down it. The thick will stay in place and allow you to work with it. Gel works pretty good too. If you go thinner than that, then it's just really messy. So what you want to do then is just butt that up against another one. I keep it on this wax paper. Try to get my hands out of the way. Keep it on the wax paper so it stays nice and flat. You know, if you get wax paper on it, it's no big deal because you can always peel it off at the end. And after you get your first row done, it's going to go pretty quick. So here's the next one. They dry very fast, you know, enough that you can move it around for a while, but that first row is already pretty tight. Get this first row done and start a second row and show you how easy it is. Whoops. It takes 37, I'm using 37 pencils, just so you know. That's what makes a blank. So make sure if you go to the store and buy them, you buy at least 37's worth. They come in packs of 12 or 24. Luckily I was able to find my store actually had it again, and so I just bought a whole bunch and pretty much bought them out of their 24 packs. It's interesting because now I have a gold one to work with. Gold wasn't in the original ones that I had. Already got glue on my gloves and they're starting to stick together here and there. Keep them pushed down and level. 6, one more, give me my final row. Alright, we got the first row done. Second row goes super easy. You don't even have to wait for this to dry. Just run a bead of super glue down. I do this the whole way down. Now we can just go stacking them. Once these are all in place, you just go to the next row. So I won't bore you anymore with gluing these up. As you can see, it goes fairly fast, and with the CA glue it takes, I don't know, I would wait 20 minutes to half an hour before turning it, but once they're in place, all glued up, dry, you can go right to the lathe then. So let's take it to the lathe next, and we'll start turning. I'm going to rough this out with one of my new tools. It's a carbide tip tool. It's got a bulkier shaft than most, but it's been a lot of fun to work with, so I'm going to use this. One thing that can be kind of tricky with these colored pencil bottle stoppers, work with these colored pencils, is depending on how good the pencil is, you can start losing some of the leads. Roughing out's not that big of a deal, but once we start working with it a little more, we're going to have to get a little more delicate. Because once you rip out the leads, you've just got a void sitting in there. Let's take a look, see where we're at right now. Well, we got it pretty close to round, so we're going to start shaping. I'm going to give it a little bit more, so see if I can straighten this up. You don't want to be getting into it and all of a sudden catch one of these edges and tear pieces out. Continue to use the carbide tip cutter to rough shape it in. I don't know why, but I always like starting at the bottom on these. Found myself using pretty much the same shape, but I try not to, but right now I kind of like this design. One thing I like to do is I like to start these bottle stoppers off a little larger than what I'm going to end up with, because when you do have those leads fall out and you end up with voids, this way you can really take your time, make it a little smaller, and end up still with a decent product. But if you try to get it the right size right off the bat, you're going to end up with either voids or a really small bottle stopper, smaller than you had originally intended. You notice I'm always working down. This is one of the things that I learned through some reading on the internet and trial and error on my own, is if you work upwards out of a hole, you end up with a lot of catches, and it can really screw up your project. So I try to always work down. Sometimes I have a brain fart and I end up working up and then having to go back and fix it, or else I get lucky. At this point, I'm going to stop and take a look and see where we're at. We still got a gap here. We lost a little lead there. Ooh, we lost a big lead here, one here, one here. So obviously we're going to have to make this a little smaller. Oh, I lost big chunks out of this, so going to have to go back and find a way to fix it. Here's got a lead right here, it's ready to pop out, so I got a feeling that one's going to go. That's what could be the biggest challenge with these bottle stoppers. It's not gluing them up like I originally thought it would be. It's trying to get them with the lead still intact. We're fine on the ends here, we always will be, but along this horizontal axis we're going to end up losing leads. So let's see what we can come up with. I just felt another piece of lead come out. Okay, look, we made that any worse. Actually, we're not sitting too bad, so I'm going to go ahead and try cutting this off here, rounding the end, and then we'll go into the sanding process. Yeah, we lost a big piece right here. Like I said, there's not a lot we can do about that. These are going to come flying out and it's out of our hands. Now, one thing about this colored pencil, it's really hard on these tools, so I'm going to have to go and sharpen again. You can tell it's cutting really dull. Now that we're coming at this from the end, we want to make sure our tool rest is just below center, and that way we can work our way from the inside out, just to kind of round this corner. Make sure you take your tailstock out of your way, either take your life center off or make sure it's completely out of your way so you don't get a surprise at the end of your elbow. Something I forgot to mention at the beginning is when I was turning this bottle stopper, even roughing it in, I had some sharp tools, so I was actually turning it at 1400 RPM. That's where my belt setting was. You can see on the Nova lathe here, they got a nice little guide in Windows. But I was on the 1440 RPMs, revolutions per minute. And when we go down to sanding, and I'm not going to bore you with the sanding because, you know, I'm just going to run through my progression of grit: 60, 80, 120, 240, 320, I think, and 600, and then I actually finished it off with 1000. But that's at 360 RPM, and we want it slower. Plus, I will have it in reverse, which I think is just on a screenshot here. We have a knob here for reverse. I just kind of like turning this in reverse, just switch it over, and for me it's a little easier. But so that's what we're going to do right now, and you'll see it when it's done. We'll go into the finishing process. Here's something I wanted to show you. It was one of the most challenging parts of the project. It might not seem like it, but sanding can be. When you're sanding this, even at a low RPM, you're basically wearing this pencil lead off, for a better term, pencil lead, pencil, whatever you want to call it, onto your sandpaper. And as it's rotating, you're dragging your darker colors across this lighter colored wood and your lighter colored leads. And so when you're going along, when you first start off, this is going to be, it's kind of discouraging because you'll see that you just tarnished all of that lighter colors. And believe me, when you go through the progression of sandpaper, it will get better. I suggest not using black leads though. Any of the black pencils, I've really had a hard time getting that color off. Actually, I've had to take it off of the lathe and hand sand those areas with a lighter colored grit, lighter number grit, to get rid of any of the black. So at this point I have to apologize. I started the video showing how to finish the bottle stopper and I forgot to turn on the microphone, so I'm going to wing it here. First off, we're taking some thin CA glue, putting it on a paper towel, about a quarter piece, and then wipe it from the top to the bottom. We're going to put 2 coats on here. What I did is rip off the other end because it gets hard on the paper real fast. There's an exothermic reaction and it gets hard and starts smoking. Get rid of that piece, wipe a second coat on. You can see right now it's already starting to get shiny. I just sprayed it with a bit of activator. Activator takes CA glue and makes it hard instantly, so it's not tacky or anything like that. Now I'm going through and I'm going to put a second, or a third and a fourth coat on, and these are with medium thickness CA glue. This is really going to build up the base on the bottle stopper, and you'll see after the second one here we're going to get a very high gloss shine. Again, I'm going from the top to the bottom. I'll throw away the piece of the paper. You never use it twice because that CA glue gets hard real quick. Now you can see that there's quite a bit of high gloss on this bottle stopper, and you could stop here, but I like to stop the unit and take a look at it in case I have any streaks in it. And at that point you can take some fine sandpaper, sand it back out, and get it smooth again. Hit it with my activator one more time to make sure it's hard. And the final 2 coats are going to be a thin CA glue again, and this is really going to make it nice and shiny. Your finish is going to be super hard and durable, extremely glossy. It's a quick and easy process. You can have it done in just, as you can see, a couple minutes here and finish it. I like to inspect it after this last coat, the 6th coat of CA glue, and you can see if there's any streaks or abnormalities in the finish. If so, you can sand it and go again. It's a nice thing about it is you can continue to sand and until you get a nice flat finish. Just to be safe, I hit it with activator one last time. Now we're basically finished. I buy these teardrop style bottle stopper bottoms. There's all different kinds you can get, but basically what there's a threaded piece that threads into your bottle and into your bottle stopper top. My first couple ones I got had the connecting piece was the same size as the threads on the mandrel, so I could just take it off the mandrel, put it together, and be done. The second set I bought, and I didn't realize this, the threads that go into the bottle stopper top are considerably larger than the threads off of the mandrel. So after you finish the project, you got to make sure you have enough beef on here to drill this out. Basically, I hold it in a towel and go up real slow into a drill press, and that way if it catches, it can spin in my hand, spin in that little rag and not hurt anything, but drill that hole out to receive these threads. So the nice thing is if you screw up, let's say you get some wobble in there and you screw up the threads, which you can, or the hole to accept the threads, what you can do is take some thick or gel style CA glue, put it in here. You can slip this bottle stopper bottom in here and hold it for a couple seconds and it'll be held for good. Well, the problem is you can't take it off if you want to switch them. But basically after you got them drilled, you screw this on, screw it down tight, and it's going to slip a little, so I may have to use some CA glue myself, but basically you have a stopper that's finished, and now you can give this to whoever you want as a present, or you know, whatever you want to do with them. So hopefully you find this project fun and try it out. I know I've had a lot of fun with it. This is actually a bigger challenge than it looks for several reasons. You know, losing the lead, having the colors spin on this, and having to sand it out, but gluing it up. It takes a little more time, but a lot of people, when they see them, like, ooh, look at this. So have fun with this. Put some comments down in the bottom here. Let me know what you think, and maybe there's a better way you can do it that I don't know about. Again, I'm a beginner wood turner, so until next time, I'm John from WorkshopAddict.com. Talk to you later.